Hi, my name's Kim Driscoll, and I'm the coordinator for Central New Brunswick for the Adoption Foundation. Today we have Carolyn Levitt Connor with us, and we're doing this webinar in hopes that we can express how important self-care is, what some of our routines for self-care are, and spread the word about the adoption community and how important it is to continue to take care of yourself along with the ones that you're taking care of. So Carolyn, can you tell us a little bit about your family dynamic?
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm Carolyn Connor. I'm a mama of 5 kiddos and actually have 6 in the house right now because I've continued to foster and have a little foster baby that came home with us right from the hospital in April of 2018. I'm
Oh,
trying to think. Oh my goodness, he's been here for a while. And been fostering for 15 years. We've adopted 4 out of our 5 kids. So it's been an incredible journey. Like our oldest boy is 15 now, and he was the very first one that was able to call me mama. Like he came with us at 5 months and started fostering him. And then as a result of us just cultivating a relationship with his mom, she consented to the guardianship. Hi, Kitty. She had consented to the guardianship so that we could adopt Ethan. And it's crazy how our world just changed almost, it seemed overnight, because we had been told we would wait 8 to 10 years to be able to adopt an infant.
yes.
So we were like, you know what? Well, let's just foster. Let's foster because I want to be a mom, and let's foster while we wait, We had 9 days notice on Ethan coming with us. And then Ethan and our oldest girl, Sierra, had been in the same foster home before he came with us.
Oh,
And because we had kind of maintained a relationship with his foster family, when they decided not to adopt her because of their age and other family dynamics and stuff like that, they told the department, look, you should contact this foster family that has Ethan, because they had been together before, right? So we were fostering Ethan. We got this call that they wanted to just come down and check on us and see how we're doing. And I'll never forget the day. They were like, well, actually, Ethan's doing wonderful. He's thriving, and we see that. Actually, the reason why we're here is there's a 3-year-old little girl that we're wondering if you want to adopt. And I'm kind of kicking Michael under the table going, yes, yes, yes. So anyway, it was incredible how that all happened. And with Ethan's mom consenting to the adoption, we were in the process of adopting Ethan and Sierra when we found out we were pregnant with Jacob. I was 3 months pregnant. So it was just incredible how our life went from 0 to busy. So within 18
yeah.
months, we had 3 kids in the house, right? And then continued to foster, and we were fostering 3 brothers at one time. And then when we got the call to adopt Dylan, it was a weekend that we were actually doing fostering, doing respite for a foster family for the 3 boys. Like we had them for 2 weeks at a time. It was long time that we would take them when their foster family would go on vacation and stuff. And we got the call to do a private adoption by Dylan. And 3 hours later, like he's in our vehicle and we're heading home with him. It's been crazy how everything happened so fast. And just, and then when we moved to Fredericton, we continued to foster. And our little Grace came with us at 3 months old. And then when she was eligible, we adopted her. And so she was our missing piece. We always say she was the missing piece that we didn't even know we were missing
so
to
sweet.
our family. Yeah. So it's been an incredible journey. And then just still continuing to foster. And they called me last week to say, hey, you got your 15 years in. So I'm pretty,
Well,
yeah, it's exciting.
congratulations on your 15
Thank
years
you.
of fostering. That is
Yeah.
phenomenal. So thank you
Yeah.
so much. But
Yeah.
also, your journey is going to be such a teachable moment for a lot of people. Not only to keep that hope up and look what
Yeah.
situations can change, but give things
Yeah.
time. But also, your life is a very busy life. So we're going to see how you manage to fit self-care into that busy lifestyle.
Yeah. Okay.
So let's go straight into it. Like this is a perfect leeway.
Okay.
Can you give us an idea of what a typical day is for you and your family?
Absolutely. to say busy is, yeah, that's almost, I'm like, yeah, you can say it's busy. But you know what? I get up about 6 o'clock and I start my day before anybody else is up. And that is a few minutes for me. I do my lunches because I got 5 lunches to do for kids, and I do my lunches at night. I got to do my top ups in the morning for like whether it's their soup or their whatever's going in,
Yes.
right? And it's 15 minutes of daily affirmations that just not determine how my day is going to go, because we can choose whether we're going to have a good day or a bad day. But I'm like, I put those 15 minutes of self-affirmations on, and I'm walking around here and I'm just, you are kind, you are smart, you are like, you are worthy of love. Like there's so many things, and it just takes that 15 minutes of just that little bit of me time. I drink my coffee and do what I need to. Sometimes I can sit in front of the fire if there's time. And then when I start getting up the kids, the 2 youngest ones are out the door by 7:20. And then, so that's Grace and Dylan. They are 10 and 6. So they go together to school, to the elementary school here. And then my other guy who's 13, Jacob, he goes off to middle school, and he's on the bus by 8:45. And the 2 oldest, Sierra and Ethan, are in grade 12 and grade 10. And they're out the door by 9-ish as well. So there's a little bit of breathing room once everybody goes out the door. But it's so funny because it's oftentimes baby boy is still with me, right? So he goes for a visit 3 times a week.
Okay.
And oftentimes if a visit gets canceled, then he's with me and we go about, and I try to book any errands or things that are hard to do with him.
Yeah.
I try to book him on those 3 days that I know he's got appointments.
Good ideas.
Because he's got cerebral palsy. So he has some health challenges. Like he can't sit up in, a cart. So if I got to take him into Costco, I'm carting the great big car seat and taking that and putting it in the Costco cart. So just trying to do the smart things throughout the day that are easier without having him. Right. So, and again, like that morning time, if I can swing it, and if it's a time that he's, goes for a visit, I try to do a little bit of yoga or a little bit of exercise. And even if it's a walk around the block, when I know that I'm taking care of myself emotionally and physically and spiritually, I feel like I am such a better mom. Do you know what I mean? Like I have the patience, and I have, like, one of the things that says, in the self-affirmations is you are kind, you are patient, you are understanding, you are compassionate. So it's just all of those things. Like instead of me going, oh my goodness, I'm like, oh my goodness, it is. And so that, like, my day, it's funny because oftentimes with 5 kids in school, somebody has forgotten something, or somebody has missed a bus, right? And you just go with it. You do what you got to do. Like yesterday, I was supposed to get into the laundromat and get my whites washed. It didn't happen because my young fella missed the bus, and then he forgot one of his pages for his project due, right? So it was just, you do what you got to do, and you right? You plow through. So I'll try to get to the laundry today, and if it doesn't, we won't have whites today. And I think that's the biggest thing too, is I always say, don't sweat the small stuff, because you know what? It is small stuff. When you look at it and you look at everything that's going on in the world, I think just because I don't get my whites washed isn't going to be the end of the world today. They'll find something else to wear, right? And trying to convey that to the kids as well, that it's okay that you miss the bus. You know what? We'll get you to school, but and there's a consequence, because if they miss the bus, they don't have electronics for a specific time when they get home. Because I have one who would miss the bus every day because it means mom could drive him. But I'm like, no, there's a window there that, you don't have that electronic time. So my daytime is kind of good. If I've got projects here, I do some photo editing or try to have a productive time throughout the day where I can get specific projects done here. And then Grace is off the bus by 20 after 2. And then Dylan's here at 3:30. So then it just goes into your afternoon routine, right? Yeah.
State your times.
And so that's when, like, supper started in the afternoon. And I'm a big firm believer on us sitting together at the table supper time, because it's when we connect. And you may not get a lot out of them because I don't have electronics at the table. I'm like, nope, we don't need electronics. Let's take a bit of time and just focus. How was your day? It was okay. And maybe that's all I get sometimes.
And that's okay.
But that's okay.
Right.
Because we're at the table and we're there together. And that's what I know that they're going to remember, because that's what I remember from growing up we have 7 kids in our family, grew up on a farm. It was busy. But I can remember having every meal together at the table. And I'm in my 50s and I remember that, right? And that's impacted me. And I know that that's what I want for my kids to look up and say, you know what? I remember sitting at the table, and having meals together. So, and then we try to do the little ones' homework before the other kids get here so that the evening can be playtime for her.
Right.
And oftentimes we'll arrange to have Mike help with homework too. So we work that out and everything. And so it's just been, the evening is trying to do some family time. We love this app. It's called Heads Up on Ellen DeGeneres show. And oh my goodness, it's so much fun.
Yes, I put that,
my goodness, it's so much fun. And even the teenagers, they're like, I just get goofy with it and everything. And they're like, oh, Mom. But anyway, you know what? We have a lot of fun with it. And so we'll try to do that. And, in the evening, of course, the teenagers, they like to go to the room and FaceTime friends and stuff like that. And I allow that because that's their time too. That's how they, get connected with people. And I think it's important. The evening time, like Grace is in bed by 7, Dylan's in by 8:30, Jacob's in bed by 10. Sierra and Ethan, it's like 11-ish, but all electronics, I have it set up through Bell that all electronics are shut down at 11, like through Bell. You can have it, restrictions on it.
Wow.
Thank goodness for Bell. Yeah, Rogers does it too, but it was just, at 11 o'clock, those phones are off. And that way there, I don't have to worry about, I do ask for the phones to come in the bedroom overnight just for a protection thing. And I mean, my daughter's 17 and my son's 15 and they still bring them in at 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
And it's just, I'm saying it's not about control. They're like, how come you have to? And I was like, it's not controlling. It's being a parent and knowing that you are safe.
Yeah.
There are predators out there, and just explaining those things to them, that it's not control. It's just your mental health. You need the rest. Because my 15-year-old would stay up till 3 a.m. Do you know what I mean?
Yes,
and so it's, but yeah, so that's our daytime. I mean, it is busy from start to finish, but when I have that time for myself to do the affirmations, or like I said, the yoga, or even a walk around the block, I just feel so connected to who I am. And because for so long I'm a mom. Yes, but there's more to that, and the healing that I've done throughout the counseling and stuff because of stuff. I back that up a little bit. Like when I first started the daily affirmations, I had suffered some stuff like as a child and a teenager that were traumatic, and I thought that I had dealt with them. And it wasn't until the weekly counseling, and she was like, you know what, you need to start some daily affirmations. That there was one that was said, I am worthy of love. And like, oh my, I couldn't even say it. And the tears were streaming. So we worked through all that blockage and all that stuff that was in there that I didn't even realize had still been there. So I'm so grateful, A, for counseling, and B, for the daily affirmations, because it really has changed my outlook. It's changed my life. Like, I'm a happier person.
Yeah, like that exactly brings us in. You're explaining it perfectly. For our next question, it was about what rituals do you do either weekly or daily? Can you maybe expand upon, like, I love your idea that you get up earlier than everyone else.
Yeah.
That you have that 15 minutes. It warms my heart to hear that you're doing affirmations of, I'm loved, I'm, worthy, I'm everything.
Yeah.
Sometimes we don't get those words from other people. We feel and we think that they believe things, but hearing them from people's mouths, and hugs are nice and smiles are nice, but so are the words. So when you hear the words, it really hits home. So your ritual of doing that, I also see that sometimes you make a lot of posts about being kind. And today I see that you're wearing your Be Kind T-shirt.
Love it.
Well,
Yeah.
this must be a ritual that you have going on. And is it to promote like
Absolutely.
self-care and self-love?
That's part of it too. Like it is. And the other reason is I want my kids I want to instill in them. It is so important to be kind, because kindness does change the world. And part of that, like, and I talked to my mom, because I had someone say, why do you do so many kindness posts? And I was like, it makes me happy. It makes me happy knowing that if I've encouraged one person to show kindness, I've done a good thing. Do you know what I mean? And if each of us can do one random act of kindness a day, we're creating a better world. We're teaching an example. And that is one thing that I do strive to do. And it maybe just as something as simple as seeing an elderly person and going and opening the door, helping them with their groceries, or buying a coffee from somebody that's behind you, you know. It doesn't have to cost a lot to mean something.
So true. So true.
Yeah. And when I hear the kids say, oh, Mom, you and your be kind thing. And I'm like, you know what? It's that they're going to remember that, they're going to remember. And it's little things that I know that are the teachable moments, like my kids. And if we'll see someone, I do a lot of work with the homeless community too. I operate a not-for-profit, and it's called Capital City Compassion. And we do a lot of work with the homeless. And I have my little 6-year-old Grace, who, if we are out somewhere walking and she'll see somebody, she'll say, Mommy, they need some help, right? And I'm like, yeah, honey, they do. And she said, well, let's be kind, And so we find a toonie and she gives it to them. And so I could cry. But when I see that, then I know that you're doing the right thing, right? You're teaching them about being kindness at such a young age. And even with fostering, continuing to foster, that again is just teaching the kids about kindness, and compassion, and to have empathy, to bring someone else into our home and love them and care for them and nurture them. That's teaching them.
Yes, and when they know those skills,
things,
they're going to start doing that to themselves. They're going to be kind to themselves, give themselves a break when they're too hard on themselves, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Those lessons are so important. I love your idea of when she sees someone and they say, do they need help, Mommy? My son's the exact same way. So that expression of being kind really hits home to me, and I love your affirmations, and I love so please don't stop your post, because
awesome.
I could be having a bit of a rough day today or any other day, and I see be kind, or I see a little quote that you talk about being passionate or kind to yourself, and I smile, and I always press the love button, because I'm like, oh,
awesome.
So it just makes me even go like a little touch of that's so sweet. And
awesome.
You touched a little bit too on how it's made such a difference in your life. Like you say that when you spend that 15 minutes with affirmation and all that, it affects your mental, emotional, and physical well-being. So
absolutely.
How important is that in your daily routine or your weekly routine, that you feel that without this, would you be lacking in that, the emotional?
Oh my goodness, absolutely. And I look at where I was a year ago today, and I'll just use that as an example, because I am a giver, and I'm a doer, and I'm a fixer. I'm realizing,
such a giver,
realizing all those things right about myself, but I've always put everybody else first. And I thought that I needed to do that. I needed to be a great mom. I needed to be a good wife. You know what I mean? And all those things. But I wasn't taking care of myself.
Yes.
And
exactly.
It wasn't until and I was getting frustrated with the kids. I was, you know what I mean? I would get short tempered, and I'm like, oh, and then I'd beat myself up because I raised my voice, that I got frustrated that somebody made a big mess on the floor. You know what I mean? So it was like this. It was all swirling around like a big bunch of leaves. Do you know what I mean? And it just, and it wasn't until, it wasn't until that I started doing their self-care that I realized I owed it to myself. I owe it to my family to take care of myself, because I just know in my heart, it helps me to be a better mom, a better daughter, a better, you know what I mean? And
You're,
I feel it too. Like there's some moments it doesn't, when it's a rush day and I may not get for that walk, or I may not get my exercise in, and I have to cut my affirmation short if Grace or the kitten needs out or something. But I feel a difference in my
yes.
emotional state when I don't get that little bit of window. And it's 15 minutes of affirmations like that changes it. And even this morning I was going to do a post before I did my kindness post about just today is going to be a great day. And it's not going to be a great day because the weather's nice or my hair looks nice or I
Which
got
it
my new
does.
kind shirt.
Which it does.
My kind shirt just came in yesterday, right? It's going to be a good day because I'm choosing it to be a good day. I am going to choose kindness. I'm going to choose to be happy. I'm going to choose to, put one foot in front of the other and just make today count and make today a good one. Right.
Oh,
So,
I love that. And I so
yeah,
relate to you when you're speaking about, the small things. And if
yeah.
you don't have self-care, those small things are big things too.
Oh my goodness.
Have less.
Absolutely.
You didn't have
Yeah.
time for yourself. So I was speaking to my aunt last night and we were talking about this. So I so relate to it because my aunt was like, I don't know how you can do it sometimes in the mornings and, because it's such a busy time with, my son. And I'm always
Yeah.
like, you know what? Like if I'm rested and I stay in my bedroom an extra 5 minutes, I come out, I'm ready because I felt
Yeah.
prepared. And then when he's making lots of noise or he's running around the house and it's, 6:58 in the morning, and I'm just like, okay, hey buddy, you want to do a dance? I feel more energized to
Yeah.
deal with it because I've been taking care of myself. And when I'm not, and I'm
Absolutely.
not asleep, patience is hard. So then I'm
Yeah.
and that's not as much fun for him in the morning. The
Yeah.
engagement isn't as good because I'm wore out or too tired. So I totally
Yeah.
get that. Um,
Yeah.
Last but not least, of course, because
Yeah.
the information you're sharing today and your strategies and your ideas are like phenomenal. What advice would you give specifically to our adoption and foster community? Because we do have, it's a special dynamic when you have adopted
Hmm.
a child from care or kinship or private, etc. Uh,
Yeah.
there's added sort of layers of trauma that you cannot be on peeling constantly throughout their years.
Yeah.
So what advice would you give them to continue the self-care and how to make that part of their day?
I would just say to take whatever day that you can fit in that self-care to do it. Like it may not be the first part of the day. Maybe it's at the end of the day when you get
Yes.
everybody in bed. Take that. There's so many self-affirmations on YouTube. It doesn't cost anything. Do you know what I mean? Like, another thing that I try to do to help is a sleep app at night, and it just has this nice soothing music on it, and that helps
Yes.
me. But I would say, like with the kids, like I'm dealing right now with Ethan, who's 15, who has been in touch with the biological mom, and there's just some challenges there because she's reaching out now. It was like we knew that, like she would maybe reach out to him one day, and so I've got the emotions of that and him
Exactly.
dealing with not knowing who his biological dad is. But the biggest thing is just loving on them, even if it means giving them their space in their bedroom and letting them slam the door and take some time and being patient, because you know what, we all have bad days and we're all going to be struggling. And the counselor had told me the ones that they love the most, the ones that they feel safest with the most, the ones that they lean on the most are going to be the ones that they're going to be the most argumentative with, or you know what, hurtful in their words or their actions. And I remind myself that of all the time is this isn't directed at me. He's
Well,
hurting. He's angry. He's angry. He's hurt. He's frustrated, but it's not at me, And so even if it's just something as simple as going to sit on his bed and say, I know you've had a rough day today, bud. There's nothing you can't tell me that I may not always want to hear. Something that you've done, but I struggle with him vaping, right? Like he's like, why don't you just let me vape? And I'm like, because I'm your mom.
yeah.
And I care about your health and I care about your well-being. And so he's like, Mom, it helps me relieve stress. And I'm like, there's so many other ways to do it, but that's a work in progress. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like if he doesn't do it in the house and I don't provide him the money for it, So, but at the end of the day, I always say to them, you are my heartbeat. I would give my last breath for you. Like, I love you with all my heart, and it makes me sad to see you hurt. But I always say, it doesn't matter what you want to tell me. I can handle it. We'll work through it. And it doesn't matter whether it's good, bad, or ugly. I always say, I'm here, and just that I love you.
You're taking all of that. So you're being so open and so vulnerable with them and so giving and loving. But you take that and put it on your shoulders. But what you're doing with it is you're releasing it through your self-care, right?
Oh, absolutely.
The stress that, the worry that you have for your loved ones, you are going then and doing your affirmations, reminding yourself that, the world is good and that things will turn out okay. So without doing all your little and big rituals and positive thinking and time to yourself, I mean, you must have named at least 8 different ways today that you help yourself with self-care and self-love. So I so thank you. Like, everything you've said today, like, it totally touches my heart, and I can relate to it so much. So I know that others are going to relate to it, and they're going to see that you said, like, a year ago, it was a bit. You've learned as you go along, and there's nothing wrong with that. We don't have all the answers at once. So let's take what you've learned and teach it to other people too, and let's see if we can spread more self-love and self-care. I mean,
absolutely.
So much today, Carolyn. And
I'm honored to sit and chat with you and have my coffee.
Oh, that's so nice. Well, you have a wonderful day. And if participants have any questions, they can post them under the webinar. And feel free, Carolyn, to respond back to them also.
Absolutely.
And I'll respond back to them. And we'll start this little train of self-care for everyone.
Sounds good, Kim. Take care.
You too.
All right. Thanks.
Bye.
Okay. Bye.
Yeah, I think we stopped. Yay!
Yeah. Oh, okay. It's showing. It's saying record. Is that?
Oh, look.